How's it going, folks? Can you guys hear me okay? All right, it is 12:01. Excuse me, I don't think everybody's here yet, but we're gonna get started. You guys are here, I am here, and I want to welcome all of you guys to Bio 130. I know there's always excitement and also a little bit of nervousness when you start a new semester, you're taking a new class with a new professor. So today, we're already going to get into the material, but before we get there, I really want to spend some time introducing myself. Then you guys gonna have a little bit of time to introduce yourself as well. Don't worry, it's just a short introduction, your name, where you're from, why you're taking this class. And then I want to spend a good amount of time today, excuse me, and I want to go over our Lamaku site. I want to go over our syllabus. I want to go over all the things that you guys need to do well in this class. Okay? I want to make sure that there are absolutely no questions in terms of expectations, in terms of what you need to do, homework, assignments, quizzes, tests, all of that we're going to cover today at the beginning of class. And then after we're done with that, we're going to get into the material. How does that sound? Good? All right. So let me give you the short, abbreviated introduction of myself. And I think it's really important. When you're taking a new class with a new professor, I think it's a really good idea, to know what is the background of the professor. What qualifies me or any other professor now to be in front of you teaching a specific class. Okay? So I have a master's and PhD in molecular biology and bioengineering from UH Manoa. And as you can see, though, I do have an accent. I've been living in Hawaii for almost 3 decades now, 30 years. And you can never get rid of the accent. I have a question for you guys. Where do you think I'm from? Any suggestions? You can unmute yourself. Where do you think I'm from?
Brazil.
Brazil. Anybody else? So for Brazil? Any other guesses? I need to speak more for you to hear my accent. Where do you think I'm from, guys? So we got one vote for Brazil.
Colombia.
Colombia? Who else? I heard someone else. Huh?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico? Okay. Brazil, Colombia, Puerto Rico. Have you already discovered I have a Latin accent? I don't know if either the Latin or the way that I look. Anybody else? So the first vote was correct. I am originally from Brazil. I've been living in Hawaii since, like I said, almost 30 years. Since 1990, no, it is 30 years already. I moved here in 1995, and I did all of my schooling here. I did the undergraduate in biology, then I got my master's and my PhD in molecular biology and bioengineering from Manoa. And I graduated with my PhD all the way back in 2019. After that, I I started, no, sorry, not 2019, 2009. And after that, I got a job as a postdoc, a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Hawaii Cancer Center. Does anybody know where the Cancer Center is? You know, Hawaii has its own institution, its own cancer center. Does anybody know where that is? Does anybody know where the medical school is? The UH Medical School. Does anybody live home?
Is not UH Manoa?
No, the medical school is not in UH Manoa. It's actually about almost 20 years already. It has been moved out. It used to be at UH Manoa, but then I think about 20 years ago, they built a new medical school at the Kaka'ako Waterfront Park in town. And right next to the medical school, they built what is called the University of Hawaii Cancer Center that specializes only on cancer research. Again, also at the Kaka'ako Waterfront Park. And it's a beautiful building, all glass walls. While you're working, you can see the ocean. You're right in front of the ocean. So it's a really nice facility. So I was there for 5 years. I was doing research on a type of cancer that is called the mesothelioma. Anybody ever heard of mesothelioma? What do you know about mesothelioma? What kind of cancer is it?
Just lungs and usually comes from asbestos.
Absolutely correct, Stephanie. It is not actually in the lungs. It's actually the initiation of the cancer starts in a membrane surrounding our lungs, and we're going to talk all about this membrane in this course. And this membrane is what is called the pleural membrane. And you are also correct to say that mesothelioma is usually caused by inhaling a fiber called asbestos fiber. Now, if you watch TV late at night, you might have seen commercial, of law firms trying to recruit patients to start a lawsuit against some institution where they were exposed to asbestos fibers. What is asbestos? Asbestos is a fiber, a natural fiber, not a man-made fiber, but a natural fiber that is mined from rocks. Not every rock has asbestos, but many rocks do have them. And in the 60s and the 70s, scientists discover that when they mine this fiber, they get this fiber, they can use this fiber in a lot of different material, insulating material for construction, insulating pipes, insulating walls, because this material is very good. It has a soundproofing quality. It has insulation properties. So it was used a lot in the 60s and the 70s. But it wasn't until, beginning of 70s, late 70s, beginning of 80s, that scientists and doctors discovered that a lot of people that has been exposed to the asbestos fibers, especially people that do construction work, right? They were getting a very rare type of cancer called the mesothelioma. Mesothelioma is not something that you get usually. It's extremely rare. But this specific group of population that was highly exposed to the fiber, they were getting a lot of mesothelioma. So scientists then start to scratch their head and think, wait a second, this is not normal. This is what is called epidemiological studies. And they discovered that when people are exposed, when they breathe in the asbestos fiber, the fiber can travel through the respiratory system, get into that surrounding layer of the lungs, and cause a cancer called the mesothelioma. which is an extremely aggressive cancer. Usually, when people find out that they have mesothelioma, they have about 6 months to live. Okay. Now, thank God, again, like I said, it's not a cancer that is very common. So I was at the cancer center studying how asbestos causes mesothelioma. So what I would do is that I would inject mice. We use mice as models for human beings. I was injecting mice with asbestos fibers right inside of the belly. And then I track because mice also get mesothelioma once they are exposed to asbestos fiber. So I would inject the animals with the asbestos fiber, and then I would track the progression of the cancer in the animal, right? And I would collect blood sample and tissue sample and look at the cells and see how they are changing at the cellular level. Why we do this? Well, we do this because if I can find out what is happening with the cell once they're exposed to the fiber, maybe I can find a therapeutic approach to try to stop the cancer from progressing. And this is what I did for 5 years at the cancer center. And eventually we did discover a protein that was highly expressed once the mice was being exposed to asbestos fiber. And we develop an antibody to block the protein, and we decrease the incidence of mesothelioma in the animals. In fact, this protein now is in clinical trial with humans to see if we can get the same effect with humans as well. So this is what I did for 5 years. I was studying cancer, doing a lot of research, published a few papers, and then I moved to Washington, D.C. for a year. I was studying a different type of cancer. I was studying leukemia, which is a type of a blood cancer. And I stayed there for a year. The first winter that I had in DC sent me back to Hawaii. It was too cold for me, coming from Brazil to Hawaii, then DC. I came back to Hawaii, and at that time I was a little bit tired of research, and I really, really liked teaching. And I started my career in the classroom, and I have been teaching now for about 10 years. And this class alone, I've been teaching for about 8 years now. Any questions, guys? None of this is going to be on the exam, okay? Don't worry before you ask me. Any questions? Anybody here interested in doing research? No? Good for you. It's not an easy life. So what I want to do now, I see you guys here, some of you, see if I can change my view here. There we go. This is better. So I see you guys here on my screen, and what I want to do, I'm going to call your name, and I apologize ahead of time if I butcher your name. I probably will. And all that I want you guys to do, you're going to unmute yourself, and you're just going to give a short introduction of yourself. Tell us your name, tell us where you're from, and tell us what you want to do when you grow up. Why are you taking this class? So what is your, academic and your professional goal? Okay? We're going to start with you, Stephanie. You're going to be the first victim.
Hi, my name's Stephanie. I live in Iaya. I'm from Virginia. We moved here after my husband's retirement from the Air Force, and medical billing and coding is what I'm trying to achieve.
Nice. Health information technology? Yeah, I usually have a lot
Yes.
of students. All right. One of the students are trying to log in, but they're having an issue. Okay. It's difficult for me to help at this moment. Next, Louise.
Hi, I'm Louise. I'm from Evo Beach. Um, I am studying this for also health information technology.
Awesome. Thank you. Randy?
Hi, I'm Randy. I'm taking this class as a prerequisite for the Rad Tech program.
All right. Also, I have a lot of red tags. Welcome, Randy. Is it Chenoa or Kenoa?
Chino, but you can call me Noah for short. Hi, I'm Trinoa. I'm from Kapolei, Oahu, and I'm taking this class because it's a requirement for the major, which is kinesiology.
Nice. Thank you. Shania?
Hello, my name is Shania, and I'm from IAEA, and I'm also taking this class because of health information technology.
Shania. Thank you. Michaela?
Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm from Mililani, and I'm taking this course because I want to do the Rad Tech program.
Right. Thank you. Ronnie?
I'm from Salt Lake. I'm taking this class because I'm also doing the medical coding for uh, health information technology. Yeah.
Thank you, Ronnie. JC?
Hi, I'm JC. I'm from Mililani and I'm taking this class for the Rad Tech program as well.
Ryan? All right. Okay, I'm going to skip Ryan now. Charlize?
Hi, my name is Charlize. You guys can call me Char if anything. I'm from Kapolei and I'm taking this as a prereq for the Rad Tech program, but I'm also interested in sonography.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wait,
Welcome.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Ryan.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second. That's why I kind of like phased out a bit. But uh, can I go with introduction?
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead. No
All right.
problem.
Sorry. My name is Ryan, and the reason why I'm taking this class is for the Rad Tech program.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Feng Wen?
Hi, my name is Feng Wen, and you can call me Feng. I am born and raised in China, but I live in here for about 15 years. I also taking this class for the Red Tech prerequisites.
All right, thank you. You're welcome. Jamaica?
Hi everyone, my name is Jamaica, and, and I'm from Beach. And just like Ronnie and Stephanie, I wanted to be a medical billing and coding too. So I'm taking this class.
Welcome, Jamaica. JD?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jaylee Medeiros. I'm from Kauai, and I'm taking this as a prerequisite for the radiology program.
All right, radiology and HIT. Alisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa. I live in Eva, and I'm taking this class because I'm interested in both radiology and sonography.
Okay, thank you, Alisa. Sinere? Sorry.
It's okay. Hello, my name is Shonere. You guys can call me Ray though. I live in Ever Beach and I'm in this class because it's part of my 3+1 program to go to Chaminade for special education.
Nice. Jareth?
Hi, I'm Jared. I'm taking this course for the Health Information Technology program.
Thank you, Jared. Tia?
Hi, I'm Tia. I'm from Waipahu. I'm also taking this course for HIT, but also I'm taking it because I want to go into dietetics.
Nice, Tia. And JC?
Hi, my name is JC. I'm taking this class for my prerequisite to go into radiology.
All right, guys. Welcome all of you and thank you for the introduction. A lot of HIT, radiology, and we need all of you guys. There's a lot of need for healthcare professionals, especially in Hawaii and all over the United States. So, with that out of the way, let's go through our Lamaku site. I hope all of you had a chance to take a look at the Lamaku, browse through it. I like to keep my sites pretty simple, but I still want to make sure that you guys are able to find everything that you need to find in there. And then I want to talk about the syllabus. I want to talk about the grading, the quizzes, the tests, things like that, okay? So let me share my screen with you. Just give me a second. All right, guys, everybody can see my screen? Awesome. So this is what it's going to look like. So this is the student view that I have up now of our Limaku site. Okay. I mean, we already had, this is the second semester, I believe, that we are working with Limaku. We used to use Laulima before. So we had this big transition from one system to the other. And I do think the Lamaku is a lot better than Laulima. And the first thing that I want to go through, when you get to our site, you're going to come right here to the content. Okay. So if you click on the content, you're going to get to this page right here. And then I want you to click on what is called the course overview right there. So this course overview is like an abbreviated syllabus. Okay, so you have a lot of important information right here that, again, you're going to be able to find the same information in our syllabus. And I'm going to show you where we can find the syllabus on Lamaku. So here we have our CRN, which is 54047. You have my name in here. And very important, you have my contact information. So let's start from this one right here. Folks, the best way to get a hold of me is by email. If you have any questions, if you have any issues, if you have any problems, anything at all, please send me an email. My email is very simple. It's just my first name, sandro@hawaii.edu. And I usually reply the same day. Unless you send me an email at 10 o'clock, 11 p.m. at night, I'm already sleeping. I'm not going to see your email until the next morning, but I usually reply the same day, okay? And then, depending what your issue is, maybe we can make an appointment to meet through Zoom. So we can schedule an appointment, we can meet. Otherwise, if I can solve your problem through email, we can do that. So we can go from there. Okay? But this is the best way to get a hold of me. Now, very important, and this is an issue that I have every semester. This class is a synchronous, online synchronous class, right? By now, all of us are very well versed on distant education, online classes. You have a synchronous, asynchronous, you have hybrid, and a variety of different modalities. Our class, all of the classes that I'm teaching, in fact, this semester, they are all synchronous classes. In our particular class, we're going to meet every Monday, excuse me, from 12 p.m. and until 2:45. Most of the time, most of the classes, we usually get out earlier. We usually don't go all the way to 2:45. Like today, for example, it could be one of those days, okay? But then if you need to, we go until 2:45. We're going to meet every Monday using the same Zoom link, and you can find the Zoom link right here. And those Zoom links are also on our syllabus, and I'm going to show you where you can find them, okay? Now, what does that mean, a synchronous class? What it means is that the lab activities, the lab quizzes, these are all done during the lab. The only thing that you're going to do out of the lab is what we call the pre-lab assignments, which is kind of a homework. It's very simple, very easy, but this is the only thing that you do outside of the lab. Also, what does that mean for you? It means that if you are not in the lab, you cannot take the quiz, you cannot do the in-lab activities, and you will miss the points for those. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can't just take them if you are not present in the class, in the lab. Okay? Then over here, you can see a student learning outcome. You can read that on your own. There is no required material that you need to buy for this class. Okay, and there are several different free resources for you guys. One of those resources that we're going to be using quite a lot is a website called Edpuzzle. And I saw that some of you had a chance already to log into Edpuzzle. And when you log in Edpuzzle, you enter this class code right here, and you're going to be connected. You're going to be logged in into this class to do some of the in-lab activities. Several of the in-lab activities are simply watching a video on Edpuzzle. Okay, it's not going to be all of the classes that we're going to use Edpuzzle, but several of them we will. So if you haven't yet, you need to log in into Edpuzzle and get into our class using the class code right here, because we're going to be using already today. Okay. And here I put some other optional material. None of this material is required. This is all optional. This is extra resource for you to help you prepare for the test, the exams. One of them is hosted by KCC. So if you click on this link, you're going to take to the KCC site in which they have different pictures of models, of human models, of bones and muscles, etc., that you can use to prepare for the exam. We also provide you, my department at Leeward, we bought this, use of this website called the Visible Body, okay, which is a 3D visualization website. It's very cool, very nice to use, and you can access free of charge, but there is a caveat. The first time that you sign up to use the website, you need to be connected to the LCC Wi-Fi. So the first time that you're going to use it, and there is instructions right here, you can click on that, and it's going to give you step-by-step instructions. Unfortunately, the only way that the company can keep track of who is having free access to the website, because it is a paid website, but because we purchase the use of it, the way that the company keeps track of that is by you being connected to the LCC Wi-Fi the first time that you sign up. After that, after you signed up, then you can use it anywhere that you want, anywhere that you are. And you're going to have 150 days to have access to the website, free of charge. Okay. Now, am I people that are not in the island, people that cannot go to LCC to sign up for that first sign-in, what do? There are other options out there, okay? And there's also some options that I put right here. There are other things that you can use to help you prepare. Like I said, this is not a required material. Any questions about the visible body, folks? I know there's some confusion sometimes about this. Or any questions at all so far? All right.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I did have a question really quick. With the initial sign-in, I just go to, like, I've never been on the campus yet. So is that I just go there and they'll guide me to where to go to sign in for the first time?
Great question. Great question. So when you go to the LCC, right, campus, you get to the campus, you can be anywhere. You don't need to go anywhere. All that you need to do is, let's say you take your laptop with you. And then, so you're going to have your laptop with you, and then you're going to, when you click in on the Wi-Fi, right, you want to get into the internet. When you choose the Wi-Fi, you're going to choose the LCC Wi-Fi. And when you click on the LCC Wi-Fi, in order to be able to log into the Wi-Fi, you're going to need your UH ID and your UH password, the same ones that you use to access your email. And once you are logged into the LCC Wi-Fi, then you can follow the instructions right here. And that's going to explain to you step by step on how to sign up. Okay, so you don't need it to go anywhere. You just need to have access to the LCC Wi-Fi.
You can
Okay,
you
thank
can
you.
even do it in your car. I did it in the parking lot and I dipped out after I signed in.
Absolutely. Good point, Ronnie. You can do if you can get good Wi-Fi from the parking lot, you can do from the parking lot. Okay. It's a great question. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Welcome. All right. So let's talk about the grading. Guys, my grading system is very simple. It's running points. How many points you're going to get at the end of the semester, that's the grade that you're going to get for the course. Okay, there's no curve, there's no scale, there's no weight, there's none of that. It's a straight running points. And the maximum amount of points that you can earn in this course is 375 points. How are those points distributed? Among the things you're going to be doing in the lab, in this course, there are a total of 15 pre-lab assignments. So we have 15 labs. Each lab has a pre-lab assignment. How are the pre-lab assignments? I'm going to show you where the pre-lab assignments are in a second. But those pre-lab assignments, you're going to be turning them in before our labs on Monday at 12 p.m. Okay, of course, today is the first day of class. You had no idea there was a pre-lab assignment. Next week is a holiday on Monday, so there is no pre-lab assignment. The pre-lab assignments for lab 1, which is today, lab, and lab 2 will be turned in 2 weeks from today. Okay, you're going to have 2 weeks to do those 2 pre-lab assignments. And again, I'm going to show you where they are, and they are very, very simple. The pre-lab assignments are graded by completion. If you complete the pre-lab assignment, you get the 5 points. If you complete half of it, you get half points. If you don't do any of it, if you don't turn it in, you get no points. Okay, easy 5 points to win with the pre-lab assignments. So that's already 75 points right there. Okay. Then we have the in-lab activities. Again, we have a total of 15 labs. We're going to have a total of 15 in-lab activities. Each one of them is worth 5 points. Today, we're going to do an in-lab activity, which is going to be watching a video on Edpuzzle. Again, completion. If you watch the video until the end, you get the 5 points. If you don't watch the video, you get no points. Okay, there's another 75 points right there. And then we have a total of 15 in-lab quizzes on Lamaku. We're already going to do one today. Again, each one of the quizzes, they're going to be worth 5 points. You only have 5 questions. The in-lab quizzes are super easy. You can literally do them in 5 minutes. The in-lab quizzes are open book. You can use any resource that you want. You can use the PowerPoint slides. You can use the lab manual. I'm going to show you where to find the lab manual. You can use anything that you want. You can do them together with other classmates if you want to. I don't care. Okay. And again, those are graded. They are not graded automatically. I have to grade them manually. So once you're done and you submit the quiz, I'm going to again show you where to find the quizzes. You're going to see 0 points. Why are you going to see 0 points? Because I have to grade them manually. They are not graded automatically. Okay. For the in-lab quizzes, they are again open book. And they are timed. You have a total of 30 minutes to take the quizzes. And again, you will not use 30 minutes. They are very, very easy. Okay? All right, so that's it. Pre-lab assignments, in-lab activities, in-lab quizzes. Then the only thing that is left are the lab exams. we have a total of 3 lab exams. Each one of them is worth 50 points for a total of 150 points. Now, different from the quizzes, the lab exams are proctored and are closed book. How do we take the lab exams? Right here on Zoom. On the day of the lab exam, we don't have a class. It's just going to be the exam. So we're going to come to our class at 12, like we do every Monday, and then you're going to take the quiz. Oh, sorry, you're going to take the exam. So, but the exams, again, are closed book. How will I proctor the exams? I will proctor the exams by having you need to have your cameras on, like most of you have right now. Okay? On the day of the exam, if you don't have your cameras on, you cannot take the exam. Because again, this is how I proctor the exam, just by looking at you, making sure that you are the one taking the exam. The exams are going to be online on Lamaku, and you're going to have 1 hour and 10 minutes to take the exams. Okay, and I'm going to talk more about the exams, the format of the exams, as we get a little bit closer to that first exam. Okay, so again, you must have your camera on while taking the exams. You are not allowed to take the exams with other classmates and cannot share information about the exams. There will be no makeup or extensions given for exams. If you don't show up for an exam and you haven't sent me an email before the exam to let me know that something is going on with you, you will not be able to take the exam. And missing an exam in this class, guys, is going to be very difficult for you to pass if you lose 50 points. Okay? Any questions about any of this so far? About the pre-labs, in-lab activities, in-lab quizzes, and the lab exams?
Are we allowed to take notes for the exams and use it?
What do you mean take notes? During the exam?
Like all the material, can we take notes on it and use the notes for our exam or no?
No, no notes. A closed book. It's just you and the exam. Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
How many questions are on the exam?
The exam will have 50 questions, and the questions are only on anatomy. What does it mean? Now, this is a physiology, anatomy and physiology, right? And we're going to talk more about this today. Anatomy is the study of the structure, naming bones, naming muscles, things like that. Physiology is the study of how they function. How do we move a muscle? How does our heart beat? How does our lung breathe? Okay? But for the exams, there will be only anatomy questions. Now, the good news is that there is an exam list in which is going to include all the possible structures for each one of the exams. I'm going to show you where to find that exam list. Any other questions, guys? All right. So again, here at the end of this course overview, there's a little bit of a schedule of what we're going to be doing for every week. And again, you're also going to find a course schedule that I included in Lamaku here. But you can see right here, every week it's included what we're going to be doing. And I follow this schedule to a T. So today we're going to talk about the lab 1. We're going to do the in-lab activity, the in-lab quiz. The pre-lab assignments for lab 1 is not going to be due until week 3 because next week is a holiday. So there is no Biol 130 lab. So you don't have to turn anything in. But by week 3, right here, folks, look, you have the pre-lab assignment for lab 1 and lab 2 due by noon on September 8th. Okay, so there's a link. I'm going to show you how to turn the pre-lab assignments, and the link is going to close by noon. If you don't turn in by noon, you cannot send it to me by email. You will not be able to submit your pre-lab assignment. Okay? Our first exam is not going to be until week 7. And that first exam is usually the most difficult one, because that first exam is going to cover the skeletal system and the muscular system, naming of bones and naming of muscles. And as you can expect, we have a lot of bones, we have a lot of muscles. Okay, but again, we will talk more about it as we get a little bit closer to that week. Okay. All right, let's go back here all the way up to the top. And so we went over the course overview. Another tab that I want to go over here are the important resources tab. If you click on the important resources, you have all these other folders right here. You have this course learning outcome. If you click on that, again, this is just what you need to know by the end of the semester. What are the things that you should know about the body? They're included right here. Going back to the important resources, you have a online course tools. And here you're going to find information about how to take online courses if you never have taken one, online etiquette, and how to navigate on Lamaku right here. Okay. Going back to important resources. Now you have course specific information. If you click on that, you will have access to our free textbook. It's an OER, an Open Educational Resource Textbook, to which I'm actually a co-author of that textbook. So we made a textbook just for Bio 130, together with some other community college there, okay? So you have access, free access to this textbook. You can access it through here. And then if you come down here, you have some information about how the pre-lab assignments work, how the in-lab activities work, how the in-lab quizzes work, how do the exams work. Again, more information about all of those different things. Going back to important resources, scrolling down here, you're going to find our syllabus for the course. Right there, and you can find a lot of the same information from the course overview right here in the syllabus. Okay. And then, oops, oh, I just logged off. Let me get back here. And then going back to the important resources, you're also going to find a course schedule right here, which again is going to show you everything we're going to be doing throughout the entire semester. Okay, there's absolutely no doubt what needs to be turned in, when the quizzes are, the exams, etc. Okay. And you can also find, all the way here at the bottom, you're going to find the PowerPoint slides, all of them for the course, and the lab manuals, all of the lab manuals, all the 15 labs right here. Okay. And then you can also find the pre-lab assignments files right here, all 15 of them. All the way at the bottom, you're going to find the lab exam list. What are these? So remember that I told you we have 3 lab exams, right? 1, 2, and 3. Each one of the exams, they're going to cover different parts of the body. The first exam is going to be just bones and muscles. The second exam is going to cover the nervous system, ears, eye, and heart. The third exam is going to cover the digestive, urinary, and the reproductive system. Guys, these are your study guide for the exams. If you click on the first one right here, Lab Exam 1, what is going to open right here is literally what are the bones bone list, and what are the muscle list that you need to know for the exam. If it is a bone or a muscle that is not included in this list right here, you are not responsible for it. And as I said, the exams are only going to cover anatomy, only naming of structures. It's not going to have any questions about physiology, the function of things. It's only the naming of structures. Okay? Now, as I mentioned, we have a lot of bones, and there are a lot of muscles right here. All of this on the left-hand side, these are the muscles. And then there's some extra information here. You know, origin, insertion, action, just to help you identify those muscles. You don't need to know what is the origin of the frontalis. You don't need to know the insertion or the action. You only need to be able to identify the frontalis muscle, which is a muscle that we have right here on our forehead. Okay? So, again, all that you need to know, these exam lists, they are your study guide for the exams. So, folks, you need today, not tomorrow, today, you need to start going over this list right here for the first exam. Yes, the first exam is going to be on week 7, but week 7 will come, and it will come fast. And if you start preparing for the exam on week 6, a week before the exam, you will fail the exam. Why wait? You have your study guide right here. You start over from the top and start going over each one of the structures right here and being able to identify them. This is where the Visible Body website is very useful, because using the Visible Body, you can go in and type, oh, I'm looking for the frontal bone. And then the website is going to show you exactly where that frontal bone is. But if you don't have the Visible Body, you can still Google it. You know, Google where the frontal bone is. Where are the parietal bones? Where are the temporal bones? You know, where are the markings of the temporal, like the zygomatic process of the temporal bone? Okay, are we going to go over this in class? Yes, but we only have one lab that we're going to cover bones, and one lab will cover muscle. That's it. The rest of it, you have to study on your own. And you need to start doing that today, not tomorrow, today. Any questions, folks? Anything at all? And you're going to have the same list for the second exam, and then you're going to have a list for the third exam. These are all your study guides for the exams. Okay? All right, what else we can find right here? So we have the lab exam list, and finally, all the way at the bottom, there's an anatomy links. If you click on that, you have some other free resources that you can use to help you prepare for this class. Okay? You can go to the San Diego website. You can see here list of muscles and bones to help you start identifying them. Go back here. We have the Niagara County Community College Virtual Anatomy Lab, which is also very good. This is all, again, free resources that I collected, I gathered for you to help you prepare for this class, help you study for the class. Okay? And they are all under the important resources tab. Any questions, guys? All right. So then you can see right here that the entire course is mapped out. So we have a total of 16 weeks of regular class plus the finals week on the 17th week. So everything that we're going to do is broken down into the different week tabs right here. So for example, today, if you click here, week 1, is going to show you right there. We're going to be doing lab 1, the language of anatomy and physiology. And you're going to be able to find the lab manual for that lab. You're going to find the in-lab activity for that lab. And you're going to find the in-lab quiz for the lab and the PowerPoint slides for the lab. Also, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but I am recording each one of the lectures, each one of the labs. After we are done with the class, I'm going to upload the videos, the video recording right here. You're going to be able to find and watch it again, each one of the lab sections that we have. Okay, and you're going to find them within each one of the weeks. If you look here, week 2, there's nothing there because it is Labor Day, it's a holiday. And then week 3, you have all the things we're going to be doing on week 3, which is we're going to go over lab 2, which is the body cavities, membranes, and organs. Okay, now let's go back here to week 1. So after I'm done with my lecture today, we're going to go over and we can find the PowerPoint slides for the lecture right here. Then immediately after I'm done with the lecture, then we're going to go over and do the lab activities. What is the lab activity for today? If you click on this link right here, and this is going to apply for all weeks for the entire course, and click right there in lab activity, is going to take you to our Edpuzzle site right here. Okay, so and then you're going to click on the little video and you're going to watch the video that is going to discuss about the language of anatomy and physiology. This is the activity, in-lab activity for today. And you don't have to submit anything because the website, the Edpuzzle website, records who is doing what. So when you finish watching the video, it's going to be recorded automatically that you watch the video until the end. And you're going to get the 5 points for that in-lab activity. Okay, but it's all connected to our Lamaku sites. Then after you're done with the in-lab activity, then you're going to go straight back here and you're going to click on the in-lab quiz right here underneath it. You're going to click on that. The quiz is going to open and you're going to take that quiz. Okay? Again, the in-lab quizzes are only 5 questions and they are open book and you have 30 minutes to take them once you start the quiz. And keeping in mind that the quizzes are not graded automatically. I have to grade them manually. What else we find right here? Guys, I need everybody's attention here, please. Let's go over now to this assignments tab right here. If you click on the assignments, this is where you are going to submit your pre-lab assignment, which again is the only homework that you guys have to do. The only thing that you do outside of the lab is to turn in the pre-lab assignment. So as I mentioned, there is no pre-lab assignment for week 1 or week 2, right? Because week 1 is today. You didn't know any better. Week 2 is a holiday. So the pre-lab assignments for week 3 will be right here. Lab 1 pre-lab assignment and the lab 2 pre-lab assignment. Okay, when you click on these links here, you're going to be able to submit the pre-lab assignments. Let me open this pre-lab assignment 1 right here, this PDF file. Right there. So this is the lab 1 pre-lab assignment. And this pre-lab assignment is to identify and label all anterior and posterior body regions in the picture. So this is anterior view. This is the posterior view. Where are you going to find the answer for these questions right here? In the PowerPoint slides. I'm going to go over this with you today in class. Okay, you're going to find the answers on the PowerPoint slides. You can find the answers on the lab manuals. And again, each lab, you have access to the lab manual. So you're going to label this right here. You're going to label these regions both in the anterior and posterior. Then after you completed a lot of people, what they do is that they're going to take their smartphone. You can take a picture of your completed assignment, or you can take screenshots of your assignment any way that you can, a PDF file, a JPEG file, a picture file, it doesn't matter. Then you're going to take that file with the completed assignment and you're going to submit them right here in that Lab 1 pre-lab assignment. Okay, you're going to see right here, submit assignment. You're going to add the file and click submit, and you're done with it. So this is how we turn in our pre-lab assignments. Any questions, folks?
I was messing with it and I couldn't figure out how to like write on it. Does that make sense? Like to add the text to it.
Okay, this is something that it depends on the type of software that you have it. So what you can do is that what a lot of people do, you can print it, right? Then you can fill it in by hand. You can fill it in by hand, take a picture with your phone of the assignment, and then turn in that picture file for the pre-lab assignment. Okay, there are many different ways to do it, to complete it. It really depends on each one's software and access. But a lot of people, the easiest way would be to print it, fill it in by hand, and take a picture and submit that. Any other questions, folks? So what do you need to do before the third week? You need to submit before noon. Folks, you're going to have 2 weeks to do this. You need to submit the pre-lab assignment for the pre-lab 1 and the pre-lab 2. I do not accept late pre-lab assignments. And those links right here, they're going to close on September 8th at noon, at 12 p.m. And you're not going to be able to submit them. Okay? Then the week after that, week 4, now you're going to be submitting the Lab 3 pre-lab assignments. And again, you have until September 15 by noon to submit the pre-lab assignment. You're going to have an entire week to complete the pre-lab assignment. Okay? Guys, is anything here not clear? Anything, any doubts, anything at all? All right. So then we have another important tab right here. We have the quizzes tab. And here again, you're going to be able to find the list for all the quizzes. You can see the Lab 1 quiz. It's already open. But again, we're not going to take the quizzes until we are done with the in-lab activity. The quizzes are the last thing that we do before you're done for the day. Okay? So the order of things is going to be my lecture, in-lab activity. You're going to do your in-lab activity, and then you're going to take your in-lab quiz. After you're done, you can just log off the call. You don't even need to ask me. You can just submit your quiz, and you're done for the day, and you can log off the call. Okay? So you're going to find all the quizzes here, and you're also going to find the exams when the exams are open. If you look right here, our first exam is not going to be until October 6th, okay, which is week 7. So you can find the quizzes and the exams right here, or you can find the quizzes and the exams right here. If you click on week 7, you're going to see right there, exam 1. And you're going to click on that. So we're going to come to class. We have a class that day, right? But there is no lecture. You're going to be taking the exam that day. Okay. Any questions, folks? So those other tabs right here, you don't really need to worry about them. Okay. How are we doing, guys? Good? All right. Again, the good news is that this is being recorded. If you have any questions, any doubts, you can always rewatch the video, which is you're going to have access to by just clicking on the different week tabs. Okay. Are we good? I don't want to move on until we're good.
Professor,
Go ahead.
sorry, my laptop's about to uh, die. I'm assuming I could do the Ed puzzle on my phone. But would I be able to do the lab quiz a little early?
That's a question. I will allow you to do it today, but so that means you're not gonna be in class until the end.
Well, I was gonna use my phone to be on Zoom and then
Okay.
on the Ed puzzle, but for the lab,
Sure, you can do that.
I can't do it on my phone.
Okay, you can do that today, but let's make sure it doesn't happen. But you did bring some a good point that I want to make, folks. And this is especially going to apply for the exams. When you're taking the exams, and I had students that had problem with this before, in which students were trying to take the exam on their phone, and at the same time be connected to the Zoom with their phone. And you can't do both. When they log into the Lamaku, the Zoom camera would close. So remember, you need to have the cameras on in order to take the exam. So don't rely on your phone, especially to take the lab exams, okay? Because you're not going to be able to do both, have Zoom and the Lamaku open at the same time. Anything else, guys? All right, so let me share my screen with you so we can get started with lab 1. So give me a second here. So this is our very first lab. And, oftentimes, I didn't get this question today, but usually I get it sometime during the semester, in which students ask me, Professor, what do I need to do to get an A for this class? I think it's a great question. And my answer is always the same. Number one, come to the classes, attend the classes. Very, very important. Because remember, if you're not here in class, you're going to miss the points for the in-lab quizzes. You're going to miss the points for the in-lab activities. I will accept the pre-lab assignments. You're going to get points for those, but you're not going to get points for the quizzes and the in-lab activity. Okay, don't miss class. Number two is start looking at the lab exam lists. Again, we have 3 lab exams, and each one of them has a list, your study guide for that exam. Don't wait until the week before the exam to start your study. Start today, okay? And focus on the PowerPoint slides and the video recording. Yes, we do have a textbook and we have lab manuals, but everything that you need to know really for this class, to do well in this class, to pass the exams, are in the PowerPoint slides, are in the video lectures. Okay, so this is the way that you're going to do well in this class. Now, is it possible to get an A in this class? Absolutely. And this is why, I am a scientist after all. And this is why I like to put this slide right here. Because I want to show people that it's absolutely possible and doable to get an A in this class or a B. As you can see right here, I have data from the spring 2023. I had a total of 52 students. More than half, about 62% of the students, they either got an A or a B at the end of the course. Okay, now just like it's doable to get an A or a B, you could also absolutely fail this class. As you can see right here in the spring 2023, I had about 17% of the students that failed the class. Now, let me give you a little bit of context about the students right here. These are the students that basically gave up halfway through the semester. They stop showing up to class. They don't turn in the pre-lab assignments. They lose points for the quizzes and assignments. And they don't really study. They don't prepare for the exams. Okay? My dream, guys, I'm serious. This is what I dream at night. My dream is to teach a class one day, a semester, in which I'm going to have 100% of my students right here. Just A's and B's. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm still dreaming about that. Okay? So I just want to show you that it is doable and possible to do well in this class and to pass this class with at least a B. Okay? All right, so let's get started here. Let's talk about Lab 1, which is the language of anatomy and physiology. Now, I don't know how many of you ever had a chance to learn a second language or a third language. I know that some of you are from outside of the US, like me. And if you ever learned another language, you know that every language has its own nomenclature and own jargon. It is no different with anatomy, okay? Anatomy, the study of anatomy and physiology, it has its own particular little language. And we need to understand the language in order to be able to learn more about the body. And this is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit about the language of anatomy and physiology. Just an overview for this lab. We're going to talk about what we call body positions. Then we're going to move on and talk about body planes and sections, directional terms, and regional names. And guys, this right here, regional names, this is what's going to be asked of you in the pre-lab assignment for Lab 1. So you're going to be able to answer the question using the PowerPoint slides as we go through the regional names. Okay. So in anatomy, there is something that is called a universal or a standard anatomical position. Why we call this standard or universal? It is called universal because it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter if you are a nurse or a doctor in China, in Brazil, in Japan, in Africa. The anatomical position is going to be the same always. What is that standard anatomical position? In the standard anatomical position, folks, that individual is standing upright, both feet on the ground, parallel to each other, okay? That individual is facing forward. The arms are to the side of the body, as we can see right here. And very, very important. Look at the hands, guys. The hands are open and the hands are facing forward. This is what we call a standard or universal anatomical position. Now, of course, our body is a three-dimensional object, right? We are not a flat cartoon on a page. We can look at a body in different views. And we're also going to talk about these different views. The view that we have right here, everybody look up. This is what we call the anterior view. So when we see an animal or a human being from the front, this is what we call anterior. If I was looking at this lady right here from the back, this is what we call the posterior view. So we have anterior, we have posterior. If I was looking at this lady from the top, let's say I was standing in a ladder, okay? Now, this is what we call the superior view. So again, anterior, posterior, superior. If I was looking at this lady here from the bottom, this is what we call the inferior view. And if I'm looking at this lady from the side, this is what we call the lateral view. So again, we have anterior, posterior, superior, inferior, and lateral. Now we have two different laterals. We have a right lateral and we have a left lateral view. Can anybody tell me what view is this one here that I'm circling? Is this the right lateral or the left lateral? This one right here, guys. Right lateral or left lateral? Come on, flip a coin.
Would that be left?
Yes, it is left. Because it's not your right and left. It is the right and left of the object, or in this case here, the body that you're looking at, right? If I come in here and I split this lady right in half, this is the left half, and this is the right half. A lot of people get this confused in exams and quizzes. And you need to know this, because when you're naming a structure, for example, we're going to be talking about bones and muscles, right? You need to tell me if I'm pointing to this muscle right here. This is what we call the biceps brachii. So you need to tell me this is the left biceps brachii. This is the right biceps brachii. Okay, you need to always give, if it is a bilateral structure, what does bilateral means? Bilateral means something that we find on both the right and the left side. Our eyes are bilateral, our ears are bilateral, our arms are bilateral, etc. Okay? Now, besides the standard anatomical position, there are several other positions in which we can place a body. We're not going to go over all of them, but I want to talk about two other important ones. One is what we call the supine position. In a supine position, we're going to place a body, and that individual is going to be on his back, laying down, and the face is pointing up. And then we have what is called the prone position. In this one here, the individual is facing, the belly is down, and then the individual is facing down. Okay? So this is the supine and the prone position. So these are just some different types of body positions in which we can place a body. Any questions, folks? All right. So we just talked about body position. We also have what is called the body planes or body sections. What is this? Guys, a body plane or body sections are cuts, either imaginary cuts or real cuts that we can make through a body or an organ. When we are cutting a body, let's say we are doing the dissection of an animal or a dissection of a human body. You have to cut the body in a very precise, very specific manner. This is what we mean by body planes and body sections, okay? Let's go over some of these body planes and sections here. The first one I want to talk about is a body section that is going to go right through the middle of our body. And it's going to separate our body into the left side and the right side. This is what we call the mid-sagittal plane or the mid-sagittal section. Now, what if my cut here was not straight in the middle of the body or the organ? What if it was more towards the left side, What if it was more towards the right side? Now we have what is called a parasagittal section or a parasagittal plane. So mid means in the middle. Para means off center. Okay, it's still dividing the body into right and left, but now is uneven right and left. It's not two equal parts. Then we have a cut or a plane in which is going to divide the body into the anterior half and the posterior half. This is what we call the frontal, also called the coronal plane or the coronal section. Again, separating anterior from posterior. Then we have a plane that will separate superior from inferior, and this is what we call the transverse plane, also called a cross section. So a cross or transverse plane, a cross or transverse section. And finally, we have a cut, which is going to divide the body or an organ into diagonal sections. And this is what we call an oblique plane or an oblique section. Okay? Now, there are more body planes than this, but these are the ones that I want you guys to focus on. These are the ones, some of the most important ones. All right? Now, as I mentioned, when we are talking about body planes and sections, it's not just through an entire body. We could have an organ like a brain that we're looking at right here on the screen, and then we can cut this brain into different sections. So help me out here, folks. Here I have a section of a brain in which this cut right here is going right through the middle of the brain, separating the brain into the left half and the right half. What do we call this plane or this section?
Sagittal.
Mid-sagittal, absolutely. So this would be what we call the mid-sagittal. Again, what if it was off-center? Then we would have a parasagittal section. Here we have another brain in which we are cutting this brain and separating this brain into the anterior portion and the posterior portion. What do we call this section?
Frontal.
Yes, this is the frontal, also called coronal. Coronal comes from crown. And then here we have a section in which is dividing the brain into the superior portion and the inferior portion. What do we call this one, folks?
Transverse.
Transverse, also called a cross, okay? A transverse or a cross section. All right? Any questions, guys?
Yeah, yes, sorry, but when you're marking, I see only markings on the graph, not where on the next slide should be. I don't know like how to get this graph portion off to see the next slide. I mean, I can see the next slide, but it's smaller. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Are you seeing that on your screen of my presentation or your PowerPoint slide?
Well, on the presentation that you're doing now, I keep going to my PowerPoint slides because what you're marking on is on the graph for me.
Really?
And I don't know if I'm not changing it, so
that is strange. Is everybody
I'm
having
doing something wrong?
Is everybody having the same issue? Can you see here the brain or no?
I can see the body now. It says the directional terms, which I don't have the brain on there anymore. It's on the next slide.
That's strange.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but
Yeah, it does look kind of funky.
Yeah, I got to figure that out. I see here. because I have a laptop attached to my screen, and it's never happened before.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no. What is sorry? Yeah, I see it here that it's not moving. Hold on a second, guys. Strange. Mysteries of technology. Hold on. Let's try this again. So you can see the brain now, right? Okay, let's see what happens when I. Okay. All right. I apologize about that. So hopefully it's going to be working now. We'll see. But anyway, so again, any questions about the body sections? So again, we are talking about the different cuts that we can make through the body or just an organ, okay? And it can be either parasagittal or mid-sagittal. It can be a frontal or coronal. It can be a transverse or cross, or it can be also what we call an oblique section, all right? All right, did we move on to the next slide now? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Stephanie. I wish someone that had told me that earlier.
Sorry,
I
I thought it
didn't
was me.
notice
I was
it.
like,
And guys, if you send me a text instead of unmute yourself, I'm probably not looking at the text as I'm giving the presentation. So you can just unmute yourself and tell me what's going on. If you have any questions, sure, please unmute yourself, is because I can't really see your text. All right, so let's move on to talk about what we call the directional terms. And just to recap, folks, we talked about body position, right, at first. And we talked about what we call the standard anatomical position. We talked about the supine or the prone position. So this is how we can place a body. And then we moved on to body planes or body sections, which are how we can cut a body into different ways. And again, we talked about the mid-sagittal, parasagittal, cross section, transverse, coronal, frontal, and oblique. And now we are talking about what we call the directional terms. What is a directional term? A directional term are positions in the body that helps to explain the position of one organ in relation to another organ or structure. So let's give some examples here that's going to make this a lot easier to understand, okay? One of the directional terms that we have is something that we call superior or inferior. So what is a superior structure? A superior structure is a structure that is closer to the superior aspect of the body, meaning towards the head, in relation to another structure. Let me give you some examples, okay? We can say that our eyes are superior to our nose, or our eyes are superior to our mouth, or our eyes are superior to our belly button. Why is that? Because our eyes have a more superior position in the body in relation to another structure. I can't come here, folks, and tell you folks, hey guys, my nose is superior. You're going to look at me funny. Like there's nothing special about my nose. Because again, I can't just tell that one structure is superior without comparing it to another structure. So I can say that my nose is superior to my chin, or my nose is superior to my chest. Okay? On the flip side, the structure can be either inferior, also called caudal, in relation to another structure. So I can say that my mouth is inferior to my nose, or my mouth is inferior to my forehead. Its structures can also be anterior or posterior. A structure that is anterior is a structure that is closer to the front of the body, to the anterior aspect of the body. Again, an example. The breastbone is anterior to the spine. On the flip side, the spine is posterior to the breastbone because the spine has a more posterior aspect, posterior position. A structure can also be medial, lateral, or intermediate in relation to another structure. A structure that is medial is a structure that is close or towards what we call the midline of the body. Right here, folks. So this middle structure is what we call the midline of the body. So a structure that is closer to the midline of the body is called the medial in relation to another structure. Let's look at the example right here. Our heart is medial to our arms. Why? Because the heart is closer to the midline of the body. The heart is right here, folks. And the arms are farther away from the midline of the body. So we can say then that the arms are lateral in relation to our heart. So again, the heart is medial to the arms are lateral to the heart. Now we also have intermediate structures, which is a structure that is in the middle of something medial and something lateral. So for example, our breastbone right here, what we call the clavicle is intermediate between the breastbone and our shoulder because it's in the middle of those two structures. A structure can also be proximal or distal. A structure that is proximal is a structure that is closer to the point of attachment of the body part to the rest of the body, to the trunk of the body. We usually use proximal and distal to describe structures in our arms and our legs. So let me give you some example here, okay, for you to understand. Guys, where is the attachment? Where is the point of attachment of our arm to the body? Right here at the shoulder, right? So we can say that my elbow is proximal in relation to my wrist. Why? Because the elbow is closer to the shoulder than the wrist. The elbow is closer to the point of attachment of the arm to the body than the wrist. On the flip side, the wrist is distal in relation to my elbow. Why? Because the wrist is farther away from the point of attachment to the arm. Okay? Help me out here. Can anybody tell me what is my fingers to my elbow? What are the fingers to the elbow, guys? In the context here of proximal and distal.
Distal.
Distal, absolutely. Let me give you a couple more examples. Let's move on to the legs now. Can anybody tell me what is the knee to the ankle? First of all, tell me, where is the point of attachment of the leg to the body? What is the area here called, guys? This is the hip, right? So the legs are attached to the body trunk at the hips. So again, the question is, what is the knee to the ankle?
Proximal.
Distal.
I got both. I got proximal and distal. I need a tiebreaker. What is the knee to the ankle? Put it this way. Which one is closer to the hip? Is the knee close?
The knee.
The knee, right? So what is the knee to the ankle then?
Would it be distal?
No. Let's try this again. When a structure is closer to the point of attachment to the body, that structure is proximal. When the structure is farther away in relation to another structure, that structure is going to be called distal. So the knee is proximal in relation to the ankle. Why? Because the knee is closer to the hip than the ankles are. The ankles are farther away from the hip. On the flip side, the ankle is distal to the knee. Let's do one more. Make sure you guys are getting this. Can anybody tell me what is my calf to my thigh? What is the calf to the thigh?
Distal.
Proximal.
Distal.
Distal. It's distal, right? The calf is farther away from the hip, which is the point of attachment of the leg to the limb or to the body. Guys, any questions?
I always feel like I had trouble with this one the last time.
So again, keep in mind, proximal is a structure that is closer to the point of attachment, right? The elbow is proximal in relation to my wrist because the elbow is closer to the shoulder. When we're talking about the legs, the point of attachment is the hip. So the knee is proximal in relation to the ankle because the knee is closer to the hip. Okay. And finally, structures can also be superficial or deep in relation to another structure. A structure that is superficial is a structure that is closer or towards the body surface. A structure that is deep is a structure that is farther away from the body surface. Guys, here we have a transverse section of the thoracic area, right here, cutting through the lungs. And this is a superior view, meaning we're looking from the top. Okay? A transverse cut, a transverse section, superior view. So this here would be anterior, this is posterior, this is right, and this is left. Right here, we can see the heart, we can see the lungs, right here. I have a question for you. Can anybody tell me, right here, we're looking at the breastbone. What is the breastbone in relation to the heart? So what is the breastbone in relation to the heart?
Superficial.
Superficial, absolutely. Because the breastbone is towards or at the body surface in relation to the heart. On the flip side, the heart is deep in relation to the breastbone. Does that make sense? Any questions, folks? All right. The last thing we're going to talk about, and again, I want your attention here. This is what you're going to be using to answer the pre-lab 1 assignment. Right here, the anterior and posterior view. Okay? That's the answer right here. That's how you're going to be labeling your lab 1 pre-lab assignments. Now, what are regional names? Regional names are terms that doctors and scientists, they came up with to describe an area, like a landmark in our body. Let me give you an example. If I ask you for a landmark on Oahu, many of you are going to say, oh, Diamond Head or Pearl Harbor. So these are all landmarks within our island, Oahu. Okay? Now, let's say that you want to tell someone where you live, but you don't want to give them your exact address. You're going to say, oh, yeah, I live by Diamond Heads. Or I live near, I don't know, Tripler. another landmark on Oahu. So the scientists did the same thing with the body. So we divide the body into regional and what we call sub-regional areas. The regional areas are here, folks, in bold. For example, the cephalic area, the cephalic region is this entire head and neck and upper shoulder. That is cephalic. Within the cephalic, we're going to find the sub-regions. For example, our entire forehead is called the frontal subregion. Where our eyeballs are, these are what we call the orbital subregions. Where our nose is called the nasal subregion. Where our mouth is, this is called the buccal subregion of the cephalic region. Again, we have the subregion of the region. Frontal of cephalic. Orbital of cephalic. Nasal of cephalic. Okay? And so we can see here all these regions and subregions in the anterior view as well as the posterior view. Now, this is not something you're going to need to memorize for the lab, but if you are taking my lecture, this is something that you will be asked on exam. So it's a good idea to start, and if you're taking the lecture, my lecture as well, to start studying about this and learning about the regional and sub-regional names. All right? Any questions? Okay. We are done with the lecture for today. What are we going to do now? Now what we're going to do is we're going to do our in-lab activity. And what is the activity for today? Today's activity is watching the video on Edpuzzle, The Language of Anatomy and Physiology, which is about 11 minutes long. Again, you don't need to submit anything. You're going to watch the video. Some of the videos, not all of them, some of the videos, they have questions embedded within the video. You're going to answer those questions. They are not graded, those questions. Again, you get the points by completion, right? You're going to answer those questions and submit those questions so in order for you to keep watching the video. Because when a question show up in the Edpuzzle video, the video will pause. And we'll pause until you answer and submit the questions. And then the video is going to keep on playing, okay? So if your video stops, it's because there's a question that you need to answer. But again, those are not graded. It is by completion of watching the video that you're going to get those 5 points, okay? And after you're done with the in-lab activity, after you're done watching the Edpuzzle video, then you're going to go to Lamaku and you're going to take the in-lab quiz, the lab 1 in-lab quiz. Again, open book, you have 30 minutes to take them. After you're done with the in-lab quiz and you submit the in-lab quiz, then you're done for today. You can simply log off the call. And to remind you, 2 weeks from now, you need to turn in the pre-lab 1 and the pre-lab 2 assignments. Okay, the pre-lab assignments. Any questions, folks? Anybody had a question? Sorry. Okay. All right. So we all stay here. We don't log off the call until you're done with the in-lab activity and you're done with the in-lab quiz. After you're done with those 2, then you can log off the call. Okay. So let's get started with the in-lab activity.